before we get started here, I want to bring your attention to the chat feature on your screen. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them in there, and we will ask our presenter to get some answers for you. So with that, I will pass it over to Jeffrey Tullis to get us started with the presentation.
Thanks, Christy. Appreciate that very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today, our XCART webinar hosted by Avalara. And of course, I am an employee of Avalara. I'm pleased to be presenting to you today. Of course, Avalara is the leading provider of sales tax and automation tools and compliance solutions. And today, we're basically going to discuss when do-it-yourself doesn't do it best. My name is Jeffrey Tullis again, and I'm the partner manager for Avalara. And I know sales tax isn't the most interesting subject out there today, and it could be daunting sometimes. And what we want to do today is shed some light on the importance of automation for compliance. So let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to cover today, just a quick overview of what we will cover on this call. We'll discuss the state of number one. We'll discuss why sales tax is hard and could be challenging. And number three, challenges of manual sales tax and compliance. We'll discuss how technology can help in that regard with bringing in a technological solution for your answers. And then we'll wrap it up with some Q&A. So the state of our states. Okay, so while states are beginning to recover from the recession, the state's focuses are on sales tax. It remains keen. So states are hiring auditors in an effort to collect revenue previously unreported in an effort to bring the state's revenue up to par. So as a business, you carry this specific responsibility of collecting and remitting those particular taxes on behalf of those states. So let's look at some numbers. Not sure if anyone would be familiar about how these numbers go. What these numbers represent are actually the state budget gaps over the last 4 years. Pretty big numbers. So let's look at a couple more. These particular figures show uncollected sales tax over the past 2 years. Billions of dollars are uncollected, and again, the states want to recoup those lost revenues. So next, you'll see a screen here with the different mobile devices and everything that we play with nowadays in the workplace. So increasing sales tax rates is typically frowned upon in the public. Therefore, states are changing the way the tax base goes. This now involves changing how sales tax is collected, and it's no longer a cash register or an invoice that you're reporting taxes on. It's an accounting system. Collectively within these mobile devices. So mobile devices need to be able to calculate tax at a GPS or geospatial IP address type of level in an organization. So why sales tax is hard? Let's talk about that. Here we have a specific map. We use this all the time with Avalara, and it reads different figures of some big numbers on jurisdictional addresses, 12,000 plus and counting in the United States alone, 35,000 plus sales and use tax and rental rates, 750 plus buyers and seller exemptions, and etc. So the scope is changing, ladies and gentlemen. It's out there. Sales tax is all over the place. The jurisdictions are very vast. So all of these particular different colors on this map, different jurisdictions. So if you want to look at Alabama on here, for example, there's just like so many different jurisdictions in Alabama with tax jurisdictions. So as we do, we'll talk about zip code and that. So let's take a closer look at that. So as we zoom in, we can see that these specific addresses for zip codes are in the same zip code. So however, they have different rates. You can also see they're just down the street from one another. You also see that someone right next or across from you or across the street from you might be in a different jurisdiction as well. Zoom in some more. And this particular person that I highlighted here is in his own island, so to speak, because these are always changing. It's very complicated to keep up with, is what our clients are telling us. So let's talk about zip codes. So, you know, we classify zip codes as blunt instruments for determining sales tax rates and boundaries, and they are. And you will almost certainly lead to calculation mistakes when you enter zip codes. So if you're basing your sales tax rates on zip codes, you risk applying the wrong rates and remitting sales tax rates to the wrong jurisdictions. So using zip codes to determine sales tax rates can prove inaccurate most of the time. It can prove to be accurate some of the time. However, using a rate from the wrong jurisdiction or leaving out a special district tax may lead to huge hassles such as audits, penalties, and return reconciliation. So sales tax rates consist of several layers of tax: state, county, local, city, and special districts, and the number referred to as the total sales tax rate is the real sum of those tax rates. So our next slide will be the challenges of manual sales tax. So sales and use tax and compliance is affecting businesses overall, small and large, nationwide, on the sales and use tax compliance level. So 52% of those agreed that completing a marathon would be easier to accomplish than understanding sales tax compliance laws. This was done by a Wakefield research study. We use Wakefield research for a great deal of our studies with different customers in different sectors of the businesses nationwide. So manual sales tax management is risk-prone and expensive to businesses. You know, when it comes to this particular subject, you know, accuracy is everything. You know, sales tax is a complex animal, and it's a complex statutory requirement specifically. It's a highly involved process, and managing sales tax manually is very labor-intensive, and it can get costly. You know, it can lead to inaccurate results too as well. Another one of our Wakefield researches found that 50% of businesses believe that a sales tax auditor would find a mistake in their business, and with that average a total cost of $96,000 per business to manage a sales tax audit, of course that could be detrimental to a small business. So again, talking about businesses, of course, Avalara started with small companies and mom and pop shops, and most people don't think about the time that goes into the compliance activities such as storing the certificates, updating the tax rates, you know, running the reports, and filing the returns. Look at these hours below here: 12.7 monthly hours, 18.2 monthly hours for managing exemption certificates. The 12.7, of course, is for calculating the actual sales tax, and 11 hours filing and remitting the sales tax. So that could be a lot of you know, time and constraint on the business. So let's get into product taxability. It's amazing. You know, really compare taxable and non-taxable to various products. Milky Way used in this particular example. Milky Way Original are non-taxable because they contain more flour than sugar, while Milky Way Midnight are taxable because they contain more sugar than flour. Imagine that. So is this true in all states? Not true, right? So what is taxable in one state? And what is taxable in one state can be exempt in another. So check each jurisdictions in your particular states for unique taxability laws. The taxability landscape is always changing. It's recommended to review taxability laws in your products for your products and services in your desired states. Okay, so taxability matters. So there's 1,800 different rules out there. It's impossible, virtually impossible, to keep track of them. Our clients come to us telling us these things all the time. For example, in Indiana, can you imagine why a Nestle Crunch bar is taxable when a Kit Kat bar and a Twix bar are exempt? The Kit Kat and Twix have flour, so they're not considered candy. Cotton balls are exempt, but cotton rounds are a cosmetic. So there's a lot of movement and a lot of different things that's taking our customers in many different directions, and that's why they come to us, because we help them resolve this and help them put it to the side. Now let's take a look at a different type of exemption certificates. So state legislatures decide what comprises the tax base and what is taxable and what is not. So, product based, you got food, but not candy. You got use based, you got the exemptions based on how the item service is used, and then you got entity based. So there's very different variations on exemption certificates and how you should store your exemption certificates. And oh, by the way, exemption certificates are classified as monetary value. In an audit window, if an auditor showed up and you didn't have the correct exemption certificates in place, that can cause monetary value to your business and penalties and interest. So the difficulty here is knowing which certificates you need and where to find those forms in the event something ever happened. So let's talk about the sourcing rules for tax. So now that we have to take into account the sourcing rules. Most states have a designation-based sales tax, which means that the sale is thought to take place in the jurisdiction where the product is ultimately used, where it's shipped, or where it's picked up from. So a few states have an origin-based sales tax, which means the sale is considered to take place at that particular location where the sales tax is completed for the seller's business location. And if you're running a business in an origin-based state, you will collect sales taxes state on all of your retail sales. However, if you are running a business in a destination-based state, you would not have to collect for your sales tax on sales that are shipped out of state. So you would also not have to collect sales tax for the customer's state unless you have NEXUS or physical presence in that state. Wow, is anyone burnt out yet? I know I am. It's a lot of rules. It's a lot of information. And this brings us up to NEXUS, or where you are required to collect sales tax in a state. So it's just another piece of the sales tax puzzle. Have you created NEXUS for your business, which creates a presence in any new tax jurisdiction this past year? Have you expanded your field sales force or resellers channels? Did you attend or participate in a new trade show? Are you selling or servicing products in new areas? Each state is different when it comes to defining NEXUS. So in some states, simply attending a trade show creates a NEXUS activity. So make sure you review your NEXUS states and get expert advice just to ensure that you're in compliance. So our next slide here, sales tax management may sound easy, but all you have to do is calculate, report, return, and remit. However, there are a lot of activities that goes around that and trying to get it right. So, the first one with researching the rates, building tax tables, researching taxability. You all are probably going through these things every day. It's becoming more and more difficult. The states researching the tax rates off the government sites, they're normally way behind. So we make that easier for you. Storing certificates can be a challenge if they're sitting in cabinets or drawers or boxes. That can be a stiff penalty in the event of an audit, and even filling out and mailing returns. We help expedite that process for you and make it a whole lot easier. So how can technology help? Let's go right into how software as a service can help out your organization. So Avalara is the fastest, easiest way to calculate sales tax. So this is actually what needs to be happening on this particular slide. We calculate tax in a sub 1 second response time, or 4/10 of a sales tax calculation time round trip. So how does it work? So I'll explain how the particular technology works. We provide an end-to-end compliance model that we accomplish via automation. So So instead of researching sales tax rates, building the tables, implementing tax processes, companies that come to us install a software connector that links to their system to our web-based service. So it's linked. And because it's cloud software, Avalara is always keeping up to date the tax rates, the rules, the boundaries automatically. So when your employees enter an invoice or take an order online, their system communicates with our web-based service and sends an encrypted XML file with their transactional data, and we calculate the tax and return it back automatically into their system. And piggybacking on my last slide, that happens pretty fast. It's approximately 0.4 of a second for a round-trip calculation. And at the end of the month, they no longer need to run or report or fill out forms and cut checks, mail them out to taxing authorities. When they process all their invoices, they can log into the admin console and do a quick reconciliation, and Avalara will file and remit the taxes automatically. So again, this is an end-to-end software as a service compliance model and a centralized management with distributed enforcement. So with its signature AvaTax dashboard, that's the AvaTax dashboard that you will be using upon purchasing our solution, is integrated with your accounting or e-commerce package in minutes. So we fully enable this, to coincide with your with the taxability, the NEXUS for the states that you are selling in, the reporting, the filing, and the profiles unique to your organization. And as you can see by these numbers here, Avalara is an end-to-end solution for sales tax and compliance. So let's sum it all up on this particular slide. Sales tax is incredibly complicated. These are why our clients are coming to us today. And accuracy is the key, and outsourcing lets you get back to what's important. We like to see our clients here at Avalara grow their business. It's difficult enough growing the business, with all the details and complexities of sales tax. We want you to concentrate on revenue-generating activities and not sales tax. We want to take that burden of manual sales tax out of your way. We want to into the window of compliance to an automated service, and we want to make it simple. We want to make you look good while you're doing it. We want to make it easy to set up and painless to manage. And that's it. That's all I got. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Great. Thanks, Jeffrey. And I've seen a couple questions come through on the chat. If anyone else has questions, now's the time to type them in there. But let's get started with a couple that have already come in. How long does the implementation process take for Avalara?
Okay, great. Most implementation sales tax, AvaTax is 12 to 24 hours, and the more difficult implementations up to 30 hours.
Okay, great. Let's see here. The next question is, how do you price this?
Okay, well, we're priced by a consumption-based model, so we charge for the transactions that you actually do in your business that you make sales tax decisions on. So we have a variation of different price models based on the transactions that you do, the number of returns filings that you do, and the number of exemption certificates that you hold in your business. Okay,
perfect. Those are the only questions we've gotten so far. We'll give everyone another minute to type questions in if they have them. But in the meantime, if anything comes up later, reach out to Jeffrey or your rep at XCart. And anything else you have to add, Jeffrey, before we finish up?
Okay, well, I can't thank everyone enough for coming in on this call today. Of course, here's my contact information. Please call me anytime you might have any specific questions. We can talk best practices on what we're seeing clients do that are in your situation. I'd be more than happy to shore up pricing or anything that I didn't cover on this call. I'd be more than happy to answer any additional questions that you might have. I'm here to help.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.